I was looking for the clipboard.
I'd like to call this meeting of the Mayor and City Council November 5th to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance by me and remain standing by Mr. Trippett for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight. Father, we thank you for all your many blessings of life that you give us. Lord, we thank you for our community, Lord, and all the blessings that you've bestowed upon us. Father, we thank you for our country, and we just thank you for the privilege of going to the polls tomorrow to cast votes. We pray, Lord, that you would all help us to exercise, Lord, that blessing, that privilege that you've given us. God, we pray your perfect will would be done. Father, we pray for those who in our community that are hurting. God, we ask you to be with them, give them strength, provide for their needs during this time. Father, we ask your hedge of protection on our community in the upcoming bad weather. We pray you would bring us safely through. And Father, we lift up the mayor and the city council tonight. Father, we ask you to grant them wisdom as they conduct and consider the business of this city. Father, we ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
This time it brings us down to citizens' comments. Is there anyone here that would like to address the council? If so, would you please come to the front, state your name and address, and sign in, and we'll be glad to listen. Seeing no one raising or making a move, we'll move ahead. It's going to be a long agenda tonight, folks, so we'll just keep it moving. Item number 5, minutes. I assume you guys have had a chance to read over them. Any changes, additions, motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Item 6, mayor and council announcements.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. I would like to, with great sadness, announce how sorrowful we were for the loss of Michelle Lewis, who was a great pillar to our community and a great citizen as well, who supported a lot of our endeavors here. And I would also like to thank everyone who came out to the Boo Bash this year over in West Carrollton on Halloween. It was great. We had lots of food, lots of candy, lots of games, and lots of people showed up. So thank you for that. I would also like to thank Kent Johnston, who I'm not sure if he's here or not tonight, but Kent, thank you for, and Joel, thank you for your work too in repairing the food pantries and the replanting of the food desert garden over in West Carrollton as well, which a lot of people really depend and count on this community. As you may have read, those things were destroyed by vandals earlier this month, or earlier last month, so thank you very much for that. To the city manager and his staff and everyone else, thank you for the bathrooms over on Robert Hendricks at that park. It's been a long time since we've never had bathrooms over there, so thank you for that. And this coming Saturday, I would like to invite everyone out to Miss Sparkle. It's on Saturday, November 10th at the Mabry Arts Center. It is the annual Miss Sparkle pageant hosted by Carrollton Parks and Recreation Department for Special Needs Girls. The event starts at 6 p.m. and is one of the better programs put on by the department each year. So we encourage everyone to attend Miss Sparkle, and that's pretty much all for me.
Anybody else? I'd like to say it was an honor for me to represent us at the District Awards for the Carrollton Parks and Recreation Department, where they won all kind of awards. Gerald, I think one of yours was a winner.
Really?
It was this year's district and state level for the Georgia Recreation and Parks Association. They won 14 awards for 2018. Wow. This is the most awards ever won in one year since the department started in 1956. They also won the highest honor in the state by winning the GRPA State Agency of the Year, which is the top Parks and Recreation Department for 2018. They have not won this award since 2012, and they are at the state conference this week and accepting their state awards.
Wow.
So great shout out to Carrollton Parks and Rec for all the great work they're doing for us and representing us across the state. Anybody else? Tim?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You gentlemen had directed me to make arrangements to have a quarterly work session starting in January. I'd like to pass out what we propose for those dates. Pass some of these down. If you gentlemen would think about it, and then we can have you address it formally in the December meeting. Also, toward the end of the year, you're going to need to appoint some people to the Redevelopment Authority. I'll get you more information on that, but if you'd be thinking about the folks that you'd like to appoint to that board. Again, I echo what our mayor said about the Recreation Department and all the awards that they won, and their staff members won, and they just do a fantastic job. I want to thank the Main Street and Rec Department for their success of Oktoberfest, Blues, Booze, and Brews, and that all-day event that was held on Saturday, October 27th. I want to remind you, gentlemen, of the Holiday Wishes Parade, which is Thursday, November 29th at 5:30 p.m. And you may recall that the route was changed to accommodate construction last year, and everybody loved the route so much that they're keeping the new route. So it starts, I believe, at the depot and goes to the library through the square. So, and then just to remind you that the Christmas party is the 6th of December at the Arts Center at 5:30. Did I say that right? Is that when the party is? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Everybody come out for the Holiday Wish Parade. Is that when we do lighting of the square also? Santa gonna be there? Item number 8, approval for agenda items for consideration. Y'all had a chance to read down this long list?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda items as presented tonight.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Please raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Erica, Ms. Studdard, you're going to be here for a while.
Hopefully not too long. The first item on your agenda is a de-annexation request that you heard at your meeting in October. At the time, the request was tabled contingent on notifying the adjacent property owners of the request. If you recall, it's for a 26-acre tract on Valley Drive and Pine Ridge Drive. The request is to de-annex back into the county. We did indeed send those letters to adjacent property owners. To date, staff has not heard from any of those adjacent property owners. At this time, we would like for you to make a recommendation so that we can send it forward to the county, who will also be hearing this particular request this evening.
They're going to do it this evening?
They had to move their meeting because of the election to tonight. So they've got it at the end of their agenda, and we've got it at the beginning of ours. So
When you say they, you mean the
county.
P&Z?
The county.
Oh, the county, okay.
The Planning Commission did not review this request. They're not required to review a de-annexation request because there's no zoning associated with it on our part.
And you said the adjacent property owners had not shown any resistance or any concern at all?
Not that no one has made it aware to us. We put our contact information and notified them via mail in a letter of the de-annexation request, and we have not heard from anyone.
Okay, because I know I've received some emails. I'm
Yeah, me
not
too.
sure about everybody else up here. You have to. I know Rory and I did. I saw that. People
We haven't
were
been
against
contacted.
it. Okay. And then tonight, Mayor Hollingsworth, we will give anyone who wants to speak against or for the opportunity tonight, right?
I believe the petitioner's here as well.
Okay.
Ma'am?
The petitioner is here as well.
You want, Greg, where are you? I saw you earlier. You want to come and address this issue, or you just want to let it lay? Anybody want to speak in opposition? Yes, sir. Please come up and so we can hear you.
I'm John Durscher, Durscher. I own some of the property adjacent here, and I just more of a concern than saying, no, it can't be done, but this map doesn't indicate that the long property line there is the water, the Little Tallapoosa River, which is the intake to the city water supply. And my only comment is that I think the city needs to consider if there's lead in some of the shot or whatever might be happening on that piece of property, that it'd be upstream of their intake. And they may want to consider having as much say-so as they can if that happens in the future.
Duly noted. Anyone else?
Yes, sir. Evening. My name is David Mitchell, and I'm John's neighbor. We also have some property that's adjacent to this, and I just had some concern about exactly I know we've talked to Greg, my wife has, but exactly what the reason for the de-annexation is and what the future for that property might hold, as far as if it's going to be some sort of a commercial venture or is that a possibility in the future? And so I was just kind of curious, and I don't know where to address that question too.
It's my understanding as a kid when I walked it back in the 73, 74 and shot quail on it, it's just a swamp.
Yeah, and I think that's correct.
And it's not buildable. There might have been one or two, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, there might have been one or two sites, it might have been a buildable site in there, but it was still in the floodplain. It's pretty much all floodplain area. I haven't spoken to anybody from the Max property, is that right? Who's actually doing, Greg, you want to address that? You're welcome.
Max International, just my little boy's name's Max. We named the LLC after him, and that's all it is. As you know, all LLCs come out of a different state, Utah or whatever, and that seemed to be a lot of confusion, but it's just representative of my little boy's name.
So my only concern is, I know you guys shoot back there, and I have no issue with that, but as far as the number of people back there or the amount of shooting that's going on, not going to really change much. Yeah.
It was just more camped out, couple guys back there, that's it. There's no commercial anything.
Okay, that's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I guess, yeah, it was Greg. It's Greg Kemp that replied.
State your address, Greg. For the record, can you just state your address?
Yeah, 101 Amherst Way, Carrollton, Georgia, 30117.
Any more discussion on this?
I got a couple questions or comments in addition to that. I've had about 3 residents of the adjacent properties reach out to me, voicing concerns of just shooting in the neighborhood, especially if right now we hear that it will be used on occasion for hunting. But my problem, though, with it, and I think the concerns of residents in the area were, if we cannot regulate it, then at some point in the future, it could shift to something a bit more commercial. And I understand that there's not much place to build anything, but from the standpoint of regulating what occurs on the property, the city would no longer have any right to say, or give right to or deny right of a shooting range or anything like that. Is that correct?
That would be my understanding that the county would regulate that.
So just with it being next to residential properties and then a good swath of land that is across the Little Tallapoosa that is currently for sale, the concerns from the residents on Valley Drive and around Lake Carroll. It's just having that inside of the bypass. I'm all for going hunting and everything like that, but just inside the bypass within the city, there are concerns from residents and just being able to figure out what is actually going on the property. And if we, as a city, give up that right to regulate what occurs there, I just see there being conflict.
That is duly noted. Anybody else want to chime in? I have had no contacts from anybody personally concerning the issue of the de-annexation.
I've had 3 people in that area, and then 2 families and 4 individuals from the Lake Carroll Ward 2 area reach out to me about it, which is significant because it is just a small item on the agenda. So getting that many people actually reach out seemed significant.
Any more discussion? Do we have a motion either way?
I move that we approve the de-annexion request of 26.47 acres at Valley Drive, Pine Ridge Drive.
Have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Have a second. Any more discussion? All in favor of the de-annexation request of 26.47 acres at Valley Drive, Pine Ridge Drive, please raise your hand. All opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. Erica, you went away.
The second item on your agenda is Resolution 16-2018, and it's an amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance for food trucks. In your September work session, we went over this in detail with you, and as you may recall, food trucks are not specifically addressed in our ordinance as it's written. Those are sort of a relatively new phenomenon, I guess, or at least a new popular phenomenon. The Planning Commission did review this request at their October meeting, and they recommended approval as we presented it. I will briefly go through what we presented. It is identical to what we discussed in the September work session with you. Basically, what it would do, it would allow food trucks by right in M1 and M2. They would have to get a zoning permit, however. And then it would allow the ability to put food truck courts in commercial zones excluding downtown. So C1 is excluded from this via a special use permit for that food truck court. The food truck court can stand on its own as a primary use of a piece of property, or it can be part of another use, i.e. it could be, like for instance, take the Big Lot Shopping Center. If they wanted to ask for a food truck court in that shopping center parking lot, they could make application to the city. You guys will review it as part of the special use permit application process. There were some standards that we also included in the ordinance regarding food trucks. If you turn to page 16 of your packets, you'll see those. Basically, it addresses everything from hours of operation, the fact that they have to control noise, that their trash has to be hauled off by the vendors, that city will not pick up or provide trash receptacles for such uses. The no audio amplification would be allowed, and then no freestanding signage would also be allowed.
What was that audio? What?
Audio, no noise, like audio amplification, music, that sort of stuff.
Okay.
So we were just trying to basically eliminate any type of potential nuisance.
So really we're trying to keep this over in the industrial area, M1, M2.
That's an area where there's a need for basically dining options. And so that's why they would be allowed by right just via a zoning permit. They would have to get a zoning permit.
Okay, at one time we were discussing about having to have a brick and mortar building here in town. Is that off the table? Or?
That is not in this ordinance as presented.
You mean a brick and mortar where these food trucks could actually dock every day and have like a food truck court? Is that what?
I think what the
Seems like I
mayor was
remember that.
asking is in order for them to have an eligible food truck, they would have to have a primary location in town. Is that, Mr. Mayor, is that what you meant?
Yeah, where they were actually had a business license, and I think 302 has a food truck, and they have it's a log cabin. It's not brick and mortar. But it's still.
And they would still be required to have a business license to do business in the city of Carrollton. So
How is the how are those food trucks inspected by the regular health inspector like the other restaurants?
right, correct. They have to get a food service permit just like a restaurant would.
So it's the same thing.
So I want to make sure I understand. So if I own a restaurant, let's say I own Bird's Burgers. I kind of like the way that sounds. But if I own Bird's Burgers, which is all vegetarian, by the way, plant-based beef. Listen, if I own Bird's Burgers, I can own a food truck, and I can have it downtown if I own a, is that what we're saying?
No.
Okay.
Food trucks would not be permitted in the central business district. We're trying to eliminate that, basically, for instance, if somebody rents the AMP one night and just brings in food trucks every single Saturday, we're afraid that might stifle some of the good things that we have going on downtown,
Okay, so
like the
food truck-
restaurant and entertainment.
They're not allowed anywhere downtown.
No,
according
they
to
would
what
not
we're
be
looking at.
permitted downtown. We do allow them at the AMP if they are not selling food as part of a special event. So, for instance, a snow cone truck, sometimes like a church, for instance, might rent the AMP, and they can give food away, but they can't sell it.
But
Where's
if they
that-
want to go to, say, a park outside of the square, that's fine. Like if they want to go over to the city park over on,
Currently, it's not written to where they could be on city property.
Mm-hmm.
They would have to apply to basically have a food truck court. Now, you guys could, I guess, designate a piece of property as a food truck court. Chuck, I guess we could be the applicants for something like that, correct? For a special
That's
use?
Is that written in there currently? Because I know it says you can get a permit for commercial property, but does that permit currently extend if we passed as written to allow in those locations like?
I think we would want to review it location by location, and we would need to get a special use permit to allow a food truck court there. And that would be something we would have to do from our side since we're the property owners of parks.
I think it,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it would be neat if we look into possibly a food truck court in the future. I think that would be a lot of fun. And I get calls all the time about food trucks, and I know in the past, maybe 10 years up here, we've had people come and talk about it. So I'm glad to see us moving in the direction of formulating a policy to address food trucks. It's a great beginning.
There are quite a few local food trucks that are have voiced their interest in setting up shop around town. Some, 302, Shuckers, Mexican Express, that are tied to a brick and mortar restaurant as well. But there are a few other in the area that also are locally owned, but have trucks as well. They're really good food. I think they've been at some city events that we've had, and I've always been I think more competition is great.
So I need to ask a question. Like
Yes, sir.
somebody, one of the banks puts on something, EMC puts on something, they bring the varsity down here on their food truck.
They're typically giving that food away. They're not
Yeah.
in it for a business, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
it's-
So that's
it's-
typically just a special event.
That's just a special event, so it wouldn't fall in this category.
Correct. They can continue to give that food away. Correct. That's where it transitions into a business at that point.
Any more questions?
I think I'd be more concerned about people giving away food if I owned a restaurant on the square than people selling it. That's just me talking.
I think there may be some people that want to make comments.
I see a hand in the back.
Yes, ma'am. Please come up.
So what y'all are stating, if you were to bring the food truck in, if you're selling, you would have to have the permit. If not, you would bring it in, but you would be only giving it away. That's the only way it would be okayed. Is that what I'm hearing for is the food truck?
There's certain areas of town where it would be permitted as right, as long as you had gone through your health inspection and everything like that, and that would be in the industrial
Be
zone.
business-wise, though.
And then for commercial areas, that would be a special use permit for those areas, which would be reviewed by city staff.
Just needed some understanding. Thank you.
I have another question also. And this was brought to me by some of these catering people. A lot of people the health department's cracking down on
The commercial kitchens.
for commercial kitchens for catering. Would this qualify for a commercial kitchen for a catering crew?
They do issue food service permits for food trucks. Some of these food trucks are
Elaborate.
$150,000 plus food trucks. I saw one the other day, it had a green egg in it, in the food truck.
So I was just like, they're cracking down on commercial kitchens for catering situations. And
Correct. I believe their requirements require them to have a commercial kitchen location if they're going to be issued a catering license, and some of our caterers do not have those.
all right, thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? For, against, pro, con?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt resolution 16-2018, but with the following language as to section 2.04.27 would read as food trucks and food truck courts are permitted as a right in M1 and M2 zoning districts if such food trucks are owned and operated by restaurants located within the city limits of Carrollton, and also adding the following words to 2.04.27B. Food truck courts owned and operated by restaurants located within the city limits of Carrollton are permissible in the C2, C3, O1, and R01 zoning districts only. Special use permit approved by the mayor and city council pursuant to section 2.04.24B of this UDO.
Matt, could you, before we vote on that, could you maybe reiterate that once more, if you don't mind?
Explain it to me.
Without reading it.
Sure.
Thank you.
What the motion is that the food trucks have to be owned or operated by local restaurants within the city of Carrollton. It would prevent, if there is a restaurant from Atlanta bringing his food truck down here, setting up shop by right in a commercial zone, who doesn't have a brick and mortar store in Carrollton, doesn't have any employees in Carrollton, and then taking the proceeds that he makes down here in Carrollton and taking them back to Atlanta and spend them in Atlanta.
So in
you
other
gotta-
words, there's no free enterprise. That's
No.
what you're saying.
You gotta have, it's free enterprise, it's just you have to have a restaurant in the city of Carrollton. I mean, the city of Carrollton, you have to have a restaurant here that can have a food truck. So anybody that has a food truck here.
So you're saying too that the individuals can't go out to the industrial. If I own a food truck in Atlanta, I can't go out to the
Correct.
industrial park or in Villa Rica or any other place.
No, you can go to Villa Rica, that's a different city. I'm talking about the city limits of Carrollton.
Who came up with this amendment, which was
did.
just handed to it? Oh, you came up with it. Well,
I
I'm
talked to some different
well,
restaurants.
I'm against it. So no, I'm not voting in favor of it.
I think-
I move that we do not add the addendum to
But
it.
there's a motion,
Well, knock it down like you do all the time.
well, procedurally, I'll let the mayor handle it.
Well, procedurally, I'm voting against it.
Okay, we can do that in a minute. Roy?
I believe in free enterprise. No matter where you live, you should be able to come here and make money.
Just
free
a
country.
comment. I know that there's only a motion and no second. From a supply and demand sort of perspective, there are only, I think, 3 food trucks that are tied to restaurants in town. And I do know that there have been multiple other food truck businesses that are just outside the city limits, but do frequent our downtown or frequent our events and are supporters of the city and what we're doing here. And I think what this resolution to allow for food trucks within our city, it fills some gaps that are currently there. Right now, the reasoning behind having a by right zone in the industrial areas for food trucks is because there's a gap there. And what we're trying to do is allow for businesses, if they make money, that they're going to do it. If not, they're not going to go over there. But what we're hoping to see is some more dining options being available for those areas. And I think ideally, what I would really love to see is, hey, if the market's good enough, you're going to see people invest in brick and mortar in those areas because the market's going to prove that there is a demand there. So from a let the market work within our community, I think it makes sense to see that happen. And a little bit of competition for our local restaurants isn't a bad thing. I think what you're going to see is better and more dining options for our residents in selected areas. It's not just going to be food truck central throughout town. What you're going to see, though, is some light competition. I think a lot of our established restaurants in town, they're going to be frequented, they're going to continue to be there, and there isn't direct competition because they're outside of our central business district in our downtown.
Rory, so, I guess this should be directed at Met. So what happens then, and Chuck, you can tell me, or whomever can tell me if I'm correct on this, I'm going to put my sister on the spot for a second. I know she works in the industrial park, and I hear her talk about food trucks sometimes that come to, I guess when y'all have a break or something like that, Chevette, I'm not sure. Oh, they don't come anymore? Not, okay. Well, I know, I'm sure some still want to come. So no longer would those trucks be allowed to, according to this amendment and this addendum that we may be adding on tonight, no longer would those trucks be allowed to come to serve those people who work in the industrial park, like at Pilgrim's Pride, for instance. I know they have food trucks that come there as well to offer alternatives to their employees who can't leave. They get a very short break, and some don't have transportation, and they can't leave Pilgrim's Pride to go run to Wendy's or McDonald's or to a grocery store. So it's either bring your food or eat off of a food truck. And if they eat off that food truck, those people are paying taxes, and that's contributing to the economy. Maybe we can find a way to tie in our local taxes somehow to look at their revenue and charge them Carroll County taxes for being here. So it's not just, and I don't know how food trucks work. That's not my forte. So maybe some of you have expertise in the area. If I go to Carrollton and sell off my food truck, do I pay Carrollton taxes since I'm within the city limits? Can we control that?
They have to have a business license, so they'll be paying tax on that and sales tax for anything that is sold. So all it does is just create more jobs in that area. What it does is allow for more options for people, and I really don't think that we're going to have a big rush of food trucks all of a sudden. I think if we see there's an issue, what we can do is say, if we're only seeing Atlanta food trucks, which I really don't see them rushing out here because we've got a huge amount of need, I think what we're going to see is some local ones utilizing this new option. And that's what they voiced that desire to be able to sell here.
Right, and I'm not against the local establishments downtown because the restaurants downtown are truly my grocery store. I'm a bachelor and I don't cook anymore, so I go eat there every night or order from the corner or Brown Dog or Sam's. So I'm in favor of those businesses downtown, but I'm also in favor of free enterprise and people coming here to bring their food trucks.
I'm also in favor of free enterprise, but you can't compare a food truck who comes here, they're not brick and mortar. They don't have to have the food stuff that they have to refrigerate. They don't have to pay electrical bills. They don't have to pay property. Well, I'm talking to my council member.
No, you're talking to
you don't have
those are your
to.
bosses.
You don't have to pay property taxes when you own a food truck. You don't have to pay to store your food stuff when you have a food truck. You don't have to pay labor costs when you have a food truck. You don't have to pay payroll tax when you have a food truck. You don't have to have somebody at your restaurant from 9 to 8 or 9 to 10 every day. So that's why when you're talking about free enterprise, and I'm for free enterprise, and I'm for food trucks, I just don't, this just seems the way that without us helping our local businesses, that you're giving an unfair advantage to out-of-city food trucks to come in and take business.
I think,
So are there any?
I think Rory, I'm sorry, right quick. Rory, did you say there's currently three businesses that have food trucks? I hear you say that?
Ones that I know of that are also tied to restaurants are 302 Shuckers and Mexican Express. I do know of a few others that do operate in and around that are just outside the city that aren't maybe tied that aren't tied to a restaurant, but are locally owned businesses.
You know of more than those three?
There's one
No.
more. Tanner actually just got a food truck, so that would be the fourth inside the city limits.
You know, I'm curious to see if there's anybody here who owns a food truck or a local restaurant here to debate this topic tonight or speak. I know it's maybe not my place to call, but I can't wait till we get to that part of the agenda to see if anybody's here.
I've got a question. Where did this UDO change come from? I don't think it came from just our discussion.
It actually came from staff, but the reason it came from staff is because we are continuing to get inquiries about it. And we're actually getting inquiries about it through our business licensing office. And since our ordinance didn't address it, we just needed to know what direction to go. So.
And do you guys know from just coming in the door where these businesses were located that were coming forward with this?
We've obviously had the discussion about the ones that you've mentioned, the locally owned ones. There's some more that we had one on Maple Street that popped up that was a trailer, Blue Nomad, I believe that is the name. And I want to say that gentleman's based out of Villa Rica. Haley, I'm looking at you. Is it Villa Rica that Blue Nomad?
Or Bremen?
First Christian Church? Okay. And then we do have some that are not within the city limits that don't have brick and mortar, but they actually use local ingredients. I think, I want to say Renegade Chef uses local meat, but they don't have necessarily a brick and mortar in the city of Carrollton, but they are using local products a lot of times. I mean, a lot of them have very special kind of niches they're trying to hit. And so we have some that come to Mayfest, for instance, that are not local, but that use local ingredients and that sort of thing.
So I just want everybody to understand. I was in favor of this. I'm just not in favor of the addendum, or the amendment, or whatever the word is.
Okay.
Matt, would you entertain a friendly motion on your amendment?
The motion has to be second.
Yeah, I mean, but would you be not on your amendment?
I haven't made an amendment, I made a motion.
Yeah. Motion's been made, but would
I
you,
think it has to be seconded first and then amendment made.
That's right.
I'm not trying to be difficult, Mr.
yeah,
Mayor.
I
Or just
understand.
fail without a second?
Or it fails without a second.
So we had a first, is there a second on the amendment to resolution 16-2018? Well, if we don't get a second, then it just dies from lack of. So the amendment to the resolution dies from lack of a second. Would you be opposed?
Just
Let
to
me just
clarify.
clarify. The motion was to approve resolution 16/2018 with those changes. And as I understand it, that motion has now died for lack of a second. So another motion would be in order.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 16-2018.
I have a motion,
I second that.
and we have a second.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we make a motion by amending that resolution by saying that a license fee should be a minimum of $500. I don't think there's established a license
So
fee.
don't we need to go ahead and move on with this? Yeah, Because we have the motion in a second, so let's go to council before we do that, man.
Well, there's now a motion
Yeah, there's
to
a motion.
amend the motion that's on the table. So the question is, will the motion to amend the motion get a second, and then y'all will have to vote on whether to in fact amend the motion?
It's my understanding the license fee fairly low. Is that correct?
It would be based off of what a regular restaurant would be charged. So there's a processing fee, and then is it, I guess, 95 cents per, you know.
It's not fair, nor is it feasible. They don't have the income that a regular restaurant that a brick and mortar has. They don't even have the time to sit here and invest in our community the way, or be vested in our community the way a regular restaurant would. They don't have the income, so they should not be held to the same standard.
One thing to remember.
I'm looking at you, but I'm not talking.
One thing to remember is any of these special use permits you're going to see again. And so.
I understand that.
Right, there'll be very specific requests, and it may be that some of these special stipulations could be applied at that point, Chuck, as part of the special use permit? Outside of the
I guess
industrial zone.
It would depend on what the stipulation is, but yeah, that would be the time to impose conditions on the special use permit.
So by right, obviously in M1 and M2, but the other zones, just I mean, you'll get a second glance at it.
No, I understand that. But by right, you're just going to pay a small license fee.
Yes, and they'll have to get a zoning permit as well.
Right.
For it.
Okay, so we have a motion, and we had a second, and then we had an amendment to the motion.
We have a motion to amend the motion, and at least at this point, I don't think it's been seconded.
I have a second on that. Well, I'll second it. The amendment of the motion. But I would like now can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Matt, would you be inclined to amend your motion to allow outside food trucks to be in M1, M2, and the B part of yours apply only to brick and mortar businesses here in town?
I think I've already stated my position, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate you reaching out to me, and I appreciate you seconding my motion. I just ask that we open up the amendment to the main motion to debate and move forward on that vote, and then we can move forward with the main motion. But thank you.
All right. Going to vote on the amendment first, right?
And I want to make sure that that I understand the amendment, and what I'm writing down is the amended motion would be to change 2.0427A and add the following sentence at the end: a licensing fee of $500 will be required for each food truck. Is that what you're?
On all food trucks, that would be in A and B.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, what I heard said was a minimum, and the only reason I say that is as the years go by, and it may be 20 years from now, that may not be a large number, and you may want to be able to, we don't normally set fees in this section of an ordinance, so I believe I heard you say minimum.
All right, just so everybody's clear. So my understanding is that there is a motion to amend Rory's motion so that Resolution 16-2018 would be approved with a licensing fee of a minimum of $500 will be required for all food trucks, and that language would appear in both 2.0427A and 2.0427B. And again, this is just the motion to amend the underlying motion.
Roy, I'm gonna vote against that. I don't want local businesses, so I'm gonna ask friendly everybody unanimously vote against that.
Let me say this. In my 20 years being here, I've never seen anything like this. This has turned into a convoluted atrocity. Let me just say that. I've never seen anything like this. It's more complicated than it should be. We should be voting on the original amendment. You've had time to call in on these things. We all got a draft agenda where these changes could have been made in the preliminary process. So if I may make a motion for the original agenda item, I move we pass it as presented by staff.
We need a vote.
We gotta
on
vote on-
motion to amend.
All these amendments.
Need to vote on the amendment,
On the motion to amend.
on the motion to amend. We have a first and a second on the motion.
That's correct.
All in favor, so just call for the motion. I'm getting confused now.
Okay, that's fine. All you're voting on right now is whether to amend
The motion.
Rory's motion. That's all you're voting on right now. It's not to approve the resolution or anything. Just all you're voting on right now is whether to amend Rory's motion.
Okay, all in favor of amending Rory's original motion, please raise your hand.
Amending Roy's original motion of
We're just
what?
voting on the
It's
amendment.
Convoluted,
Just hang on, Gerald, just hang on.
come on,
Just hang on.
it's ridiculous.
Um,
It is. It's
So it
not
dies
money.
from-
It's their time and money that we're talking about here.
Everybody against, please raise your hand. Okay, we're back to the original motion and second.
I don't know what we're voting on.
Right now, we're back to my original.
Right
motion
now, we're
and
back to
second.
your original motion
With no amendment.
with no
Out of
amendment.
fairness, let's state that amendment in layman's terms for everybody. It's
That-
not an
It's
amendment.
not an amendment, Gerald, it's a motion.
That motion failed. So what is before the council now is Rory's original motion to approve Resolution 16, 2018 as it was presented to the mayor and council in the packet.
And I second that.
And you had a second on it, correct?
Point of inquiry, Chuck.
sir.
Would it be discriminatory if we had a licensing fee that only was applied to food trucks that were outside the city limits, meaning they were not owned
Help me find-
by a local restaurant? So if you're from Atlanta and you come in and we say, well, you're outside the city limits, we're going to make you pay a $500 licensing fee. But if you are a food truck that's tied to a local business, you don't have to pay. You'll pay the normal license fee.
I would tell you that, I mean, I don't, and I'm not trying to duck the question.
Right.
And I don't know necessarily what a court would do with that. I mean, that would be the argument that someone would make, is that, you're discriminating against out-of-town service providers. If called upon to defend it, I would say the reason you would impose a fee for out-of-town service providers is for the reasons that y'all have talked about, is they're not paying presumably property taxes and other things in the city and incurring these costs and expenses for having bricks and mortar here. But again, I'm just telling you how I would defend it. I'm not predicting what somebody would do with it.
Have a motion and a second.
Well, I'm going to make a motion to amend that any food truck that is not tied to a local restaurant, that being within the city limits, has to pay a minimum of a $500 licensing fee.
Didn't you just say that?
To have a second. Sound like it. No second. Dies on the vine. Sorry. So back to our original deal, Resolution 16-2018. First by Roy, seconded by Gerald. Any more discussion? All in favor of approving Resolution 16-218 as written, please raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Studdard, Resolution 17-218, Unified Development Ordinance Amendment, paving permits.
Yes. The Planning Commission reviewed Resolution the resolution regarding requiring paving permits for certain paving activities within the city at their October Planning Commission meeting. They recommended unanimous approval of this particular resolution. If you recall, we discussed we discussed this during your September work session. This would require a paving permit that is currently not required. The intent is not to make money off of this. The intent is to give staff the opportunity to review the activity prior to it occurring to make sure that it meets our current ordinance. We have had a few issues where the work is completed and it does either required landscaping is removed, or basically they pave more than they really are allowed to based off of the zoning district, and it's very difficult to go back to property owners and ask them to pull up once they've done it, and so this would give us an opportunity to get to review it and to work with them ahead of time. The ordinance as it's written is exactly as it was presented at your September work session. Basically, all paving activities within the city outside of residential zones, single-family residential zones, would require a paving permit. There is a $30 application fee to cover administrative costs. Any non-conforming lot can be resurfaced and repaved. They do have to get a permit for it. They just wouldn't be able to expand that non-conformity, but they would still be able to maintain and repair the lot that they have, even if it doesn't meet the current ordinance. I'm available if you have any questions.
I've got a question. Any violations to it, what would be the penalty?
If there's a violation then they would basically have the codes enforcement could cite them, and it would be up to $1,000 per day of the violation, just like our other ordinance violations.
Thank you. Can we also, if it does pass, communicate this to any paving companies so they can communicate that with, because I know any changes, business owners may not know it and things like that, so just making sure that they can communicate that as they're getting contracted to do work. I know we won't be able to probably get everybody, but at least try to get as many as possible.
Yes, I mean, there's typically not, there's just a handful that do work primarily in the city, and we'll definitely notify them.
Does anyone in here want to speak for or against this? Seeing no one, do I have a motion we accept?
I make a motion we approve resolution 17-2018.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor of approving resolution 17-218 Unified Development Paving Permits, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Resolution 18-218, signs.
We're going to get there. All right, the next resolution on your agenda is an amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance regarding the regulation of special event and seasonal sales, temporary signs, permit fees for temporary signs. The Planning Commission reviewed this resolution at their October meeting. They recommended unanimous approval of the resolution as it's presented. If you recall, we discussed this at your September work session as well. We are looking to try to clean up some of our temporary sign ordinance language. It was very ambiguous. It didn't place a limit on the number of signs and the number of days that they would get the signs and that sort of thing. And we've had numerous complaints from this elected body as well regarding some of the temporary signs in the city. The resolution as written basically does not allow, I'm just going to go through it real briefly. If you turn to page 22 of your packets, it will no longer allow banners and pennants and streamers or multicolored, triangular shaped, basically anything that looks like a pennant, any kind of balloons or gas-filled fixtures, in addition to that, searchlights, beacons, and other advertising novelties. We did set a limit on the number of days and the number of permits that you can have for these temporary signs. As discussed at your September work session, we revised the ordinance to read as you suggested, which was basically you can get these permits 4 times a year, 4 times in a 12-month period, you can have these signs for 15 consecutive days during the permit period. The permits, the special event signs themselves, the temporary signs cannot exceed 50 square feet, and you can't have more than 2 per property unless you have a property that has double road frontage, and then we will give you 2 per road frontage. There is an impound fee associated with temporary signs in the ordinance as revised. There's a $30 impound fee if a sign is placed in the public right-of-way and city staff has to remove it. We'll keep it for 30 days. And if you would like to retrieve your sign, you can get it back for $30. There's also a permit fee of $30 per special event sign. It was $1 per day for the sign, and that's difficult for staff to administer. So this just puts a flat fee of $30 on it. I'm available if you have any questions.
Can you clarify to me what a special event sign would be?
Ground signs, you can have banners, but you can't have the small banners on the strings, like the pennants and that sort of thing. But you can have banners. Typically, when people are having sales, you'll see they'll put up special event signs for that. A lot of people use like kind of the real estate type ground signs. Now, real estate signs themselves are excluded from this, but real estate type ground signs, when a lot of times there's sales or special events or grand openings, anything of a temporary nature that's not, made with permanent materials and professionally installed.
Does this apply to residences as well, like homes? Like if I want to put a sign in my yard that says Bird's Burgers at my house, like.
Well, we would make sure you have a home occupation permit first, but no, I'm just kidding. We wouldn't allow that in residential. We wouldn't allow commercial signage in a residential area.
Or we wouldn't enact this if I stuck a Bird's Burgers sign in my front yard.
Well, what we would first do is check to see if you had a business license.
Or one that says "Have a nice day" and be nice to each other. Your yard sale.
Like a yard sale sign. Chuck, that's a good question. As it's written, I would not assume that we would have yard sale signs in this, but I guess potentially that's a question for Chuck. I'm not sure of the answer to that.
I guess that would be something that, I frankly hadn't considered yard sale signs. It would seem to meet the definition of a temporary sign.
In a special event.
In a special event. So I know that there are exceptions in the ordinance. We deal with real estate signs and all separately, but I don't know why we would carve out an exception for yard sale signs.
I believe these changes are all in the non-residential signage section. I
Okay.
can look real quick, but I've got to pull out my full ordinance just to make sure.
Well, while you're looking, could y'all tell me, after I read this all week and read it and copied it and brought it in, I went by 3 or 4 of our car dealerships and everybody had something up. County, inside the city, but balloons, I don't think they're balloons, they appear to be a permanent. It's not a balloon anymore. I see Mr. Mike Bell in the back. Maybe he can help me out on that a little bit. What do y'all use instead of balloons? They're not inflatables.
They're not inflated. They're not latex. No helium.
Yes, sir, please. Because I'm trying to get clarification of what we're looking at here. I saw that you had something totally different than what I saw last year out there.
And I promised my wife I'd behave, so. Yeah, they're permanent fixtures, but they're not helium, they're not latex. There's a company that we hire to come out each month and make sure they're all even and, they're attached as they should be. But it just helps us to draw people in
Yes,
off
sir.
the street. It's just a marketing thing. We employ 45 to 50 people. We pay their health insurance. They have a 401k. They have paid vacation. And we depend on people. I don't see any of my customers in here, but we depend on local people to come in and buy cars. And, you got to have every edge you can get.
So,
And
so if it's not an inflatable, is that going to be covered in what we're talking about here, Erica?
we just try to do everything we can to
Yes, sir.
sell a car. And, if you get your hands tied behind your back, it just makes it even harder.
I understand.
And,
I was just trying to get a clarification. If it's not inflatable, is that going to be a?
well, I heard the word permanent as well. I didn't know what that was.
The way it's written, it just says balloons. It doesn't say whether or not it does say or gas filled, but it does include balloons. I guess, I'm assuming these are kind of
Is
on
it
like
oxygen or
lollipops,
gas?
but they're plastic.
It's almost like a globe.
So they would be, as this ordinance is written, they would be included.
Let me ask everybody this, like, why are we talking about this tonight? Is there a plethora of problems around signs in this community?
Well, I think we have,
I don't see one.
Well, Mr. Byrd, I think we have more pressing issues than balloons.
Worrying about balloons.
I think we got
I'm voting against this.
drugs
so
and,
good. Thank you.
I don't even allow my yard man
Tell
to
your
put my
wife I
grass
said hello
clippings
and I
out
miss
on
her.
the sidewalk. I make him carry them off. I know this, I live in the city limits, and I know the city picks them up. But I want him allowed, he said, why can't I put them on the sidewalk? I said, because it's trashy. And I'm going to get a billboard. I told my wife, we are paying, y'all are paying, taxpayers, we're paying somebody to go up and down the bypass and pick up litter and cut the grass. But we're not, and go down the bypass in the morning and look at all the garbage already out. And we just had it picked up. I mean, I want to keep Carroll beautiful. I told her I was going to put a big billboard up on the bypass. Don't be trashy, be classy, keep Carroll
Ooh, I
beautiful.
like that.
You know, and,
Like I said, I appreciate you coming in. I just wanted to clarify what y'all had out. I didn't know what it was.
it's not, I
It's
mean,
not balloons.
I do have
Well, I'm
banners.
voting against
They're-
this one too.
They're not, the little pendants, they're not plastic that tear off and blow everywhere, but I do have some used car flags stuck in the ground, but we just put them up 2 or 3 times a year. But now the globes are kind of permanent, so. I
What's
like
the
to have-
globe? The balloon things?
Well, they're not balloons, because they'd have to have.
Oh, I know what
aluminum
you're
and
talking-
Be elastic,
They're on a black stick. They're
Yeah.
about this
Yeah.
big. Yeah, they're $69 a piece. I know that.
I don't know.
They are.
I've got a couple comments.
Again, I don't know where this is coming from. This is ridiculous. And
I've got
it's
a-
micromanaging.
I got a couple comments about it. Back when I first started campaigning, beautification of our commercial corridors was a big piece of what I heard from people in our community, what they wanted to see happen. We formed a corridor committee to look to try to develop and beautify. And one of the things that did come up were just clutter. Clutter of signs just along the street, which ends up just either becoming trash that gets run onto the road because they're not picked up, or just visual clutter in general. And that clutter diminishes our work towards beautifying our commercial corridors. So one thing that I have heard from a lot of people, because this visual clutter along our corridors, it really is something that a lot of other communities have addressed in terms of disallowing it, and what it can do is help move towards beautifying those areas of town where we have committed to looking at beautifying.
So what you're saying, Roy, is this basically came out of the Corridor Beautification Committee?
I know it's come from multiple communications with business owners, from residents, just saying, hey, why is this allowed to have just temporary trash going up and down the road? Because you'll see a lot of 5K signs just sitting out there, or we're going out of business each and every month, and they just sell enough stuff that they can stay in business and put up another sign. I think what I'd like to see is some of that temporary signage removed.
Well, I'm ready to vote on it.
Mr. Mayor, as well, I've got a lot of complaints up and down for residents live over on the west side of Carrollton regarding Maple Street, same thing. And I imagine you have, but I don't know. But maybe I'd like to make a motion, we table this and let us go back and let our city staff see if we can reach some compromise. Maybe it's too broad. So I'm going to make a motion that we table this, Resolution 18, 2018.
And
I'll
let me say
second
too,
that.
there's no way that I will be sated from anything they come up with. I'm always gonna vote against it.
I'll second that motion. Yes, ma'am.
I'm all about keeping America beautiful too. And I have given up my home to my kids, and I've moved on Stewart Street. And my OCD, and I thank God for my OCD, I don't need nobody to tell me to clean up my street. I don't need you to pay me for it. I just can't stand clutter. But before I go through what I'm hearing you all say, I get out there and I get my trash bag, and I have 2 of them, and I get a hand and I go and clean that street up. It's just that simple to me. If it's going to be like what you all are addressing, well, pay some of these young kids Put some money in their pocket and have them to go out there and do it. That is what I am hearing now.
Ms. Benson, they're really not talking about trash being picked up. They're talking about people putting out little signs.
I understand those
little
signs. They still are there.
Yeah.
We vote we always have voted. I know exactly the sticks and poles. But I still say if it's going to cause this kind of ruckus, keep America beautiful, give some of these kids a job. Put some money in their pocket and have them clean up for you. I'm hearing everything y'all are saying. That's just my opinion on where we at with the sign and the cleaning up thing. Business-wise or whoever, if you got such a good business and your finances is that good and these signs are taking you to the level that it is taking you off what y'all are talking about now, hire you some young person to clean it up. And that's just my opinion on it because I hear each and every one of y'all. Just my opinion.
It's always like this, Ms. Benson.
So we have a motion and a second to table this to a later date. We're going to vote on the motion to table. All in favor of tabling this, please raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries. We're going to table this to sometime later when staff's got a little more time to reach out. Resolution 19-218. That's a whole lot to read, Eric. I'm just going to let you have it.
Yes, Libby, can you put it up on the board? This particular resolution is what we call an omnibus resolution. This is mostly housekeeping items. I can go through these things individually, but what I would like to do is just go through the ones that are kind of significant changes. This omnibus resolution, here we go, is to amend section 2.01.02, residential zoning districts, to amend table 2.03.03, table of land uses, to amend section 2.04.06, personal care homes, to amend table 2.04.06C, standards for personal care homes and family personal care homes, to amend section 2.04.19, daycare facilities, to amend table 4.01.01, standards for lot area, width, density, and lot coverage, to amend section 4.02.01, design standards for single-family townhouses, to amend section 4.02.03, design standards for multifamily developments, to amend section 4.02.04, design standards for industrial development, to amend table 4.07.04C, tree canopy requirements by zoning district, to amend section 5.02.02, standards for accessory structures, to amend section 5.02.03, fences, to amend section 6.12.00, sidewalks, and to amend section 10.03, appeals for the decision from a decision of the Board of Development Appeals to the Unified Development Ordinance. This particular omnibus resolution was reviewed by the Planning Commission in October last month, and it was recommended for approval with the following conditions, 4-1. The conditions include, number 1, to include R8 zoning district in all tables in the UDO as appropriate. And number 2, to exclude the proposed change to section 4.02.01B6 regarding permitting vinyl. The resolution that was in your packet shows these changes noted. So the resolution that was in your packets is the resolution that the Planning Commission recommended. Very quickly, some notable things in this omnibus resolution. I can go through them individually if you would like, but I'm just going to hit the highlights otherwise. We did create a new single-family zoning district, R8. That's 8,000 square foot minimum lot size. In that district, only single-family homes would be permitted and parks and open space. This particular zoning district is really born out of another provision that's included in this resolution, which is the reduction of minimum house size from 1,250 square feet to 900 square feet. Many of the changes in this omnibus resolution reflect that new R8 zoning district. Please note that nowhere on the zoning map is there R8 or is there proposed to be R8. So an applicant, if they are seeking that particular district, would have to come before this board again to get approval for that. We also included professional office as a permitted use in the industrial zone. Currently, it is not permitted at all, and this would permit it by right. We cleaned up some things when it came to personal care homes and family personal care homes and group personal care homes that will make it easier for staff to administer some of the provisions, including administratively waiving the fence requirement when it's not necessary. We also increased the maximum lot coverage in several of our industrial and commercial districts on page 31 of your packets. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, we are proposing that the minimum house size go from 1,250 to 900. We better defined portions of the buildings and industrial developments that are open to the public. They are subject to specific design standards where the industrial piece of the building is not, and we had to better clarify that.
Can you go back to minimum house size again?
Yes, sir.
From 450 to you said to 900 square feet being the minimum, so the smallest house in Carrollton now has to be 900 square feet?
If this is adopted as proposed.
It used to be 1250, not 450.
As a minimum?
It used
As
to
a
be,
minimum.
or currently it is 1250 is what I meant
It's
to say.
currently 1,250, and we're reducing it to 900.
All of this is a lot. This is a lot for people to ingest. I think this is a lot for voters to ingest. The ballot tomorrow is not as complicated as what we've seen here tonight. I don't care whose toes I step on or who I insult, but we need to find a way to streamline these agendas. They are too complex, and they get too convoluted up here. This is a lot. This is a lot for anybody to sit out there and try to understand. We're losing our customers. People are making faces and walking out of the room. This is absurd. I've never seen anything like it in my life. This is a lot. This could have been divided. I could have said it a couple weeks ago, but it could have been divided up, divvied up. Give us a little bit of this at a time, whoever I'm talking to. This is too much, and it's too long. These meetings are inefficient, and they're too long. We shouldn't require people to sit in here this long. They have a life, and they have things, they have businesses to tend to. We're sitting here 2 and 3 hours debating and discussing ridiculousness. And I'm not the only person in this room who feels this way, and those people watching at home feel the same way too, because they're sending me messages right now. This is ridiculous. That's a lot to put before a body, and that's a lot to put before a small town too. This is too much. And I wish some of our constituents would come here and say that they've had enough. This is ridiculous. What are we doing? Redrafting the whole city? Redrafting everything we built in the past 20 years and everything that we stand for? Or however many years we've been here. There's greater things to work on, as Ms. Benson said, and some of the things that we worked on here tonight, sitting here nitpicking over city policy. I'm looking at you, Erica, but I'm not talking to you.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
It's ridiculous. Who's behind all this? I wonder.
Many of these are staff recommendations because we administer the ordinance daily, and these will help our staff better administer the ordinance. One thing I know that the public basically, deserves is a clear and concise administration of the ordinance. We want to be able to treat everyone fairly, but we also need good direction in some places that might be ambiguous. So some of these are born from staff recommendations. Some are because we've had issues come up. And so I guess it's a little bit of both. It is very complicated, and there's a lot of information here.
I mean, we got fences, we got sidewalks, I read
a lot.
4 feet, sidewalks got to be 4 feet off the back of the curb.
There's a beauty strip required.
Who's going to remember all this, though? I can't. If my constituents ask me about this tomorrow, I'm going to say, I have no idea what you got. I can't keep up with all that.
We do review these
I'm just
things.
keeping it real.
Well, I mean,
Nobody
when it
can
goes
follow
through
all
plans
this
review,
stuff.
we
It's
have
ridiculous.
we know it, I guess I should say. So we do review these things.
But how are you going to protect, how are you going to maintain a 4 feet off the back of the curb for the sidewalk and then another 5 feet?
That's not new, actually. That's existing in the ordinance.
Is that existing in the ordinance now?
It is in the existing
Then it hadn't been
ordinance.
followed for how long?
We try to follow it, and I will tell you there are times when either there's constraints with right-of-way or something like that, where we're having to come in and retrofit sidewalks. But for new construction, especially with streets, we do ask that the beauty strip be put in.
I've got a
And
question.
that's been in the ordinance.
I got a question in regards to the tree canopy cover requirement that's moved from 10,000 to 1,250. What was the reason behind that?
It did not reflect what was in the table.
Okay.
We just basically, they didn't match. So.
And again, my apologies for the length of the agenda. We were trying to make sure we didn't have too long an agenda in December. These are all things we went through in that work session, and they were all, the ordinance contradicts itself. At some point, we've got to clean it up. So I realize it's a lot of information, but at some point, it's got to be cleaned up. We did attempt to go through the detail of this in the work session that we had on this again. And even when I sent the thing out and apologized for the length at the time and tried to send it out early. It is a lot of information, but it is basically the law that we have to follow, and the document contradicts itself, so this was to clean that document up. So it was not to try to put too much information before you. Again, we had a fairly long work session to try to go through the detail itself.
So then this whole thing tonight, if there's little nitpicky little things that I don't like about it, I can sit here and we're gonna go back and forth for 3 or 4 more hours about, that's a lot. I mean, what are we gonna vote one time for all this? Is it one vote? Or is it multiple votes for each?
In our work
This is a
session,
lot.
what we did was we discussed with staff about this. After staff recommended we make these changes to make their job easier to enforce, because there were some discrepancies in the document and the UDO that they need to enforce.
So is it one vote or multiple vote?
Right, this would be one resolution, so it would be one vote.
Well, I'd like to make a motion right now that we table this and then break it up into separate agenda items and disperse those agenda items through, I guess, the next 3-4 months.
Let me, if I can.
In an order of urgency.
There is one, the very last amendment to section 10-.03.05, which is the appeals from the decisions of Board of Development Appeals. That's a change we need to go ahead and make, because the certiorari process is what is now required under Georgia law. That is the process you're to follow in order to appeal from the Board of Development Appeals. So if the wishes of the mayor and council are to table the rest of it, I would just ask that we go ahead and at least consider that one change to section 10.03.05.
With the addendum, or with the amendment of, I guess, voting on item 10-03-05, which I put in the form of a motion right now.
I'm confused, sorry.
I think Councilman Byrd's motion is to approve staff's recommended changes to section 10.03.05, but otherwise table consideration of the rest of this resolution.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to second.
With consideration to our constituents and the time that they have to spend here at City Hall hearing us go back and forth and argue all night long.
So I have a motion and a second to table Resolution 19-2-2018, but to approve
the proposed changes to section
10.03.05 appeals for the direction. Okay. Everybody understand that? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 20-2018.
Mr. Mayor, before we move on, I just want to make sure what the motion that was approved was that these ordinance changes would be spread over the next 3 meetings. That would be December, January, and February.
Okay.
In the sense of urgency. I believe that was the motion that was made. That's what I was approving. So I know that I voted in the majority, so I don't know if we need to make a motion for reconsideration so we clarify that, what exactly we're instructing city staff to do.
We will do that either way.
Okay,
We will make that happen either way administratively.
And I like the timeline that Councilman Lane just spoke of, because that is right before our budget retreat, so which will have a whole new slate of things to look at.
So we good? Resolution 20-218, Alcohol Code Amendment.
Yes, the last item that I will be presenting this evening is Resolution 20-2018, proposing an amendment to Chapter 6 of the Code of Ordinances, Alcoholic Beverages, and it's related to the hours of off-premises consumption of alcoholic beverages in the Central Business District. So this is Adamson Square. As you recall, currently, you are allowed to walk around the square with an alcoholic beverage, and you can actually have one in each hand, as long as it's in a plastic container, not in glass. at basically all hours. There was no provision within the ordinance to basically limit the number of hours that this was occurring. We have spoken with the restaurants downtown, and we've also, the police department has asked that we look at potentially putting some limit on that, especially after the restaurants close. It will make it easier for them to provide law enforcement downtown. And what we did was we met with the restaurants several months ago, and we jointly discussed basically setting that time for 2:30 a.m. So the ordinance that you see in front of you eliminates off-premises consumption on the square after 2:30 a.m. in the morning. And this particular ordinance did not have to go to the Planning Commission, so you guys are getting a first look at it. This was also discussed and reviewed at your September work session along with the rest of them.
And just to make the point, this was at the request of the police department. It would make their job easier.
Correct. And we've worked with the restaurants on this, so they're well aware of this is coming, this change is coming.
They're all good with it. They're all good. The restaurants are all good with this.
We invited them all to a meeting. We had about probably 4 or 5 of the ones that stay open later come to the meeting, and they were all certainly in favor of it. I mean, they can't sell this late anyway, so there's no reason for them to.
It just makes everybody go home.
Right. It basically clears the square out and keeps people from just hanging out the rest of the night.
Eric, I know at my store every night, especially on a Monday, if I go in, there's a lot of like green beer bottles on my front porch, and so those people are probably bringing those and they throw them in the backyard and break them everywhere. But those individuals are bringing that from home, I'm assuming, because you can't walk around. Or would this say you can't walk around with a glass bottle? I don't like the glass bottle.
Right. I would like to think that our restaurants are pretty diligent about making folks put it in plastic as they're leaving the restaurant. I know that's been the case for me personally. There may be an issue with folks bringing stuff in. They shouldn't. It's not allowed. It's prohibited by law. But I'm not saying that it's not occurring.
I had 6 glass bottles on Saturday. I left in my front porch, green ones.
Might be some folks getting them out of their trunks and just sitting down.
Maybe so.
After hours, Joe.
Tanqueray and all that. Mm-hmm.
Any more questions?
Make a motion, we approve resolution 20-2018.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion unanimously carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Mr. Tim, donation of property to Carrollton City Schools.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You gentlemen will recall there's a piece of property that is just north of the bypass, just west of Ben Scott Boulevard and just south of Tom Reeves Drive. It was a park that was adjacent to First Georgia Bank. That is now Bank OZK. That is actually, it was donated to the city by First Georgia Bank back when they were in business. The city maintains that like a city park. It's a lot of work. It's just one of the things that Kent Johnston has mentioned to me that he wish he could get off his plate. Dr. Albertus expressed an interest in owning that property, the city school system owning that property. I think they want to put a grand entrance at that area, nice sign. And I think it would be beneficial to both organizations if the city would donate that to the school system. And that is what's before you.
Tim, is that, and you may be able to, Coach, you may be able to answer this, but is that fountain still? I know I had a fountain. I used to take my students out there. Oh, it's just grass now. Okay. The rocks and all the, but all those little red trees, I've forgotten the name of, Japanese maples and all that, that's still there, right?
Some located around there, yes.
Yeah, that's a beautiful little, yeah, that's beautiful.
If we did build in that particular section with the sign, we would replant them somewhere else.
I think that's a great idea, and I'm all for this. Great.
I've got a question from Erica, I think. From a signage standpoint, have we reviewed what's signage in that commercial area? What are our standards for that? Have we changed to, or is it similar to what our overlay district signage requirements are? Did I phrase that in a way that made any sense there?
I'm not 100% sure. They're proposing to do more of a fence. So there's wouldn't be, they may put a sign on the fence, kind of like a residential, like a subdivision entrance, where you've got kind of maybe like a brick fence with the sign on the fence. So they would only be required to basically permit that piece of the sign that would be on the fence. So they're just trying to do kind of almost like a subdivision entrance into the city schools.
Kind of like a monumental sign or monument sign that we've kind of.
It's really
maybe a
more
bit
like
bigger.
a fence. I mean, it's going to be much longer, and like I said, it's more like a fence structure.
But it doesn't sound like
So-
it's glowing and flashing or anything like that.
No, no.
Okay, great.
It's like the university's flame of knowledge like that sign, right?
Right,
Stone.
or, I mean, several of our subdivisions have. I mean, Oak Mountain Golf, I think, has fencing with signage, and I mean, that's the best way to probably, the best analogy to use.
And we'll offer them special dispensation because they're Carrollton City Schools, right? I make a motion, we approve this land, let me read it, thank you, Matt. The donation of property to Carrollton City Schools.
Second.
A motion is second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor of donating the property to Carrollton City Schools, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Bid award, City Hall Public Safety Complex, Depot Fire Alarm Improvements.
If you don't mind, I'll make this one quick for Tommy, because I know we're running late. The state fire marshal came in and hit us the same way he's hit every restaurant in town, and so this building does not comply from an alarm standpoint. The evidence building out back does not, and the depot does not. We went out to bid for the right alarm systems, and we received two bids, and the lowest qualified bid is Security Solutions at $96,855. There was a lesser bid from Blackwater Technologies, but it did not meet all the requirements. So we recommend that you award that tonight to Security Solutions to upgrade the alarm systems in these three buildings and get us in compliance with the fire code.
So the Blackwater crowd just didn't come through with a complete package.
They didn't bid everything, and Tommy would have specific details, but they did not bid everything they were supposed to bid. Security does most of our work along this lines. If you want more detail, Tommy will come to the mic and give it to you.
Any questions, gentlemen? I'd like to make a motion we approve.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Bid award, Engineering Department vehicle. Is that Tony?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City of Carrollton Engineering Department has currently budgeted for a new bucket truck for street light maintenance and other elevated work. The solicited bids, the three bids that were received were listed as Cherokee Truck Equipment, $129,325. Alltech Incorporated, $132,175, and OG Hughes and Sons at $132,215.34. So, city staff recommends you award the purchase of the bucket truck to the low bidder, Cherokee Truck Equipment. The funds for the purchase is included, as I said, in the current budget year, and the current truck that's used for this work is a 1999 model, and it's just become unreliable.
Anybody got any questions for Mr. Richardson?
I just want to say thank you to Mike Green and Kenny Rollins for maintaining a truck for that long. I've been in a bucket truck a good few times in my job, and that's something you definitely want to make sure is working. So I really appreciate the fact that you guys have been keeping it maintained for that long. It's a testament to your commitment to saving taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion we approve. Have a second. Any more discussion? All in favor of approving this award to Cherokee Truck and Equipment, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Bid award multiple department vehicles. Tony?
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. Item number 10 are vehicle bids for multiple departments. Prices were solicited for budgeted vehicles in our current budget year for the Codes Enforcement Department, Systems Upkeep, Sanitation, Wastewater, and Water Filter Plant, all of those being extended cab, half-ton, four-wheel drive pickup trucks, the one exception being the Water Filter Plant, which was a compact SUV. The Codes Enforcement are going to be replacing a 98 F-150. This is a older truck that has an excess of 100,000 miles and was used extensively by the facilities maintenance department and was overloaded for most of its life. The systems upkeep department is going to replace a 97 F-150 with 212,000 plus miles on it. The sanitation department will replace a 1998 F-150 with 223,000 plus miles. And the wastewater department is going to replace a 1998 F-150 that we know has 150,000 miles. The odometer quit working at one time on it. And so we attached a summary. The water plant is going to replace an old 03 Ranger that has an excess of 133,000 miles. And attached to your packet, you'll see a summary of all the bids that were received. The lowest bid for the extended cab half-ton trucks for those departments was Scott Evans Dodge at $25,173. The lowest bid on the compact SUV for the water plant was a statewide contract holder, which is Allen Vigil Ford, at $19,198. The lowest local bidder, again, was Scott Evans Dodge at $19,557, or a difference of $359. So while we were putting this together, we determined we also needed a full-size van for our facilities maintenance department. It will replace a small van that's built on a car platform and is currently overloaded for what it's used for. If approved, we'll move the small van to the IT department to replace an old 1998 Ford Expedition. Again, the odometer does not work on, so we don't know the exact mileage, but it's way above 150,000. There is sufficient capital budget in the wastewater department to fund this, should you choose to do so. The lowest bid for the work van was statewide contract holder, again, Allen Vigil Ford, for $22,186, and that was on a 2017 leftover model. The lowest local bidder was Mike Bell Chevrolet at $22,522.60 for a 2018 model year, for a difference of only $336 should you purchase locally or choose to. City staff recommends purchasing the vehicles from either the vendor returning the lowest bid or where the lowest bid the statewide contract provider. You may, if you prefer, order the vehicles locally. We can purchase the SUV from Scott Evans Dodge and the work van from Mike Bell Chevrolet.
Anybody got any questions? I'd like to make a motion, we approve. Just a low price.
Low price is different than local.
We got a state contractor. Okay. Whatever y'all want to do.
I purchased the SUV from Scott Evans Dodge and the work van from Mike Bell Chevrolet. Keep it local.
Motion and second. Everybody, any more discussion? Everybody ready to vote? All voting in approval mode, please raise your hand. All opposed?
Mr. Mayor, if I could comment, I want to give you something that was said about Tony, and this applies to Mike Green and his people also, and most of our staff. But I was at the tractor dealer in Roopville on a personal issue, and the guy that owned the place, Roger Harrod, scolded me for the condition of our tractors because Tony runs them so hard and they are so worn out by the time he gets done. And that's the kind of thing I like to hear. I consider that a great compliment. I've seen Tony take two Kubota UTVs and take them apart and make one out of them. He's got some bush hogs. I don't think there's anything left on them that's original. So he really stretches that and saves us money, as does Mike Green's shop with those good mechanics. So I echo what Rory said here earlier.
Tony, you're still up. Got a bid award for the water treatment plant.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. This is item 11 on your agenda tonight. The wastewater treatment department solicited bids for rehabilitation of clarifier number 3. Now, this is an Amwell currently installed piece of equipment at the wastewater plant. Been there since the late 60s, been in operation since the late 60s, and that's not an hour or two a day, that's 24/7. So it has been giving us good service for way over 40 years, and the rehabilitation project consists of removal and replacement of the moving parts, not the entire structure. And since it is an Amwell, we priced it there first, but being diligent, we wanted to go ahead and price it with other companies to make sure that we were, getting a comparable price. So the Amwell, which is what's currently installed, it's just old, was Templeton and Associates, and they were the low bidder at $227,500. Principal Environmental returned a quote of $488,400, and Wastewater Industrial Solutions $389,500. The low bidder, again, is Templeton and Associates, which represents the manufacturer of the equipment that's currently in there, so it would be a removal and replacement of the current equipment that's just worn out. The project is included in our current budget, and we recommend that you award this project to Templeton and Associates in the amount of $225,700.
I move we award the contract to Temple and Associates for $227,500. Second.
A motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of making this award, please raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Mr. Tony. Bid award, Stallings Community Center.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor and Council. I think you're aware, we've previously talked about in the work sessions and in the budget to have these Tracy Stallings Community Center roof replaced. The engineering and rate department went out for bids, and we received 2 competitive bids from West Georgia Roofing and SHC Roofing. Staff recommends going with the lower price, West Georgia Roofing, and awarding the bid, but also understand that they're actually going to have to take off 4 layers of roof to get down to the decking. We hope the decking's in good shape, but it could potentially be more than the bid price.
I know everybody's tired and ready to go home. I have to ask this question. It says the original roof was built in 1932. Is that the same roof that's been there since 1932?
Well, it's got 4 on top of it. I'm not sure.
4 layers on top.
It's 4 layers.
Built up roof.
That's what increased the cost. It's a little bit more than we expected, but taking off the 4 roofs and complying with OSHA requirements and checking for the asbestos has made the cost a little higher.
Are we going back with a rubber roof or the regular tar and gravel?
It's more of a rubberized roof with a 60 mil, I believe.
Mm. Any more questions?
That's my Met's old school. We went to
Stomping
school there
ground.
together.
You reckon you were there with the 2nd or 3rd roof?
Might have been that 1932 roof.
It never leaked, though, did it? No. Well, maybe it did. Mr. Gentry's room. Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion, we accept the re-roofing bid from West Georgia Roofing.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Elected.
Mr. Mayor, may I add that I'm so glad we're replacing that roof, and I'm so glad, too, that we're preserving that structure. I just don't want to see another beautiful building like that go down. So, thank you.
Item number 13, elected officials' compensation. This falls under you, Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have met the requirement for advertising an increase to the mayor and council's compensation. Tonight, you would vote whether to implement that. We've had three consecutive advertisements as required by law. I want to stress this would not go into effect until 2020. In other words, after the next regularly scheduled election, that keeps elected officials from giving themselves a raise. It applies to the next elected body. That's basically it. The amount would be for the mayor, $14,400 annually, and for a councilman would be $7,200 annually. Currently, it's $3,600 for a councilman and $6,000 for the mayor. And we did compare this to cities this size, and you gentlemen are grossly underpaid compared to other cities your size.
Any discussion? Any comments from the floor? Anybody want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we increase the mayor's salary to $14,400 annually and council members to $7,200 annually.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second from Mr. Wojcik. Any more discussion? All in favor of increasing the elected officials' compensation for the years 2020, or the election 2020, not, is that right? 19 to 2020. And I guess that will, is that correct? Yeah. For 2020, please raise your hand. All opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 14, update e-compliant cost and feasibility study. Tim?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We were directed to look into a better e-complaint, in other words, electronic online complaint system. Right now, we've got an item, we've got an icon on the website that you click to send complaints, and they go to myself and they go to Mike Green. And we were directed to do something more elaborate and also have a better tracking. I want to recognize Sam Stinson, young man in our IT department, and he found a product that we already own and it won't cost anything to do this with. So our intent is to have this implemented when we redo the website. We're hoping to have something in place by the end of January. If you want more detail tonight, I'll be glad to give it to you. I can tell you that Libby surveyed the number of complaints we'd had electronically. I mean, we had tons of complaints, obviously, but through the website over the year and past year, and you want to post that. You may not be interested in seeing it this late, but these are just the kind of things, and I won't bore you with all the detail as late as it is, but you know, we pride ourselves on resolving these things quickly, but this would be an enhanced system, and again, I want to compliment Sam for finding this without it actually costing outside money. It certainly took his time, but we will move forward with that, and we hope to have it in place by the end of January.
I have a question about this whole thing, and from this new system, what is the name of the system again now?
We haven't named it.
Well, whatever it is. You're the person who's in charge of? Okay, I have some questions for you. So you're going to collect data from these people calling in with these situations, right? Because
what it will be is it will be an automated system that allows people to submit a complaint either through an email or through an online portal. But then we will have some capabilities to see stats about who has submitted the tickets, where, what categories they've been under, whether it's road maintenance.
So you will collect cumulative data.
Yes, sir. That is something.
Okay, I like that, because if it shows that, say, Met's ward had more police calls than my ward, then we're going to up, Joel, I'm not putting you on the spot, but we're going to up services for that particular area based on the data that comes in from this. So, right?
So with the specific example of police calls, that would not be.
And I'm just being hypothetical about police
calls.
So
that is something we can look into doing with this system.
That's the only thing I like about it. Because I like the Andy Griffith style of doing business, where people just call me on the phone and say, oh, well, there's a pothole on my street, and I call Tim, and it always works. It's very effective that way. People like that. I like a face. I like to look you in your eye and say hello. I don't always like a computer. As long as the public knows, I'll vote in favor of this. And again, I'm looking at you, but I'm talking to the people who need to be spoken to. But as long as the public knows, they can still call me, and I'll still call Tim or Peter or Mike, or I'll still go to your house and look at that bush that's growing up between your side or whatever it is. I still want people to be under the impression that we're still old-fashioned in that way. And we will still come out and see you and service whatever it is that needs to be serviced. And look and see. They always say, come look for yourself. I still want to be able to come look for myself. But at the same time, I want data that benefits our citizens and their services based on their needs, which this program should feed. If the program doesn't produce data, meaningful data that we can actually use and utilize to better serve our people, then I won't vote in favor of it. But you're telling me today that you can use this program to collect data on our wards and on our citizens to better serve them.
So we have not, I mean, at this moment, developed those functions of the software, but that is something that we can look into. We were just directed for cost and feasibility study.
Well, we might need to table it, because the only way I'm going to go for it is if you can do that, because this will be something.
You don't even have to vote on it.
We're not even voting on this.
Just
whatever.
I'm just giving an
status
update
is
this
on.
evening.
That's all.
Well, I like it if you do that. How about that? If you don't do that, I won't like it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir.
All right.
Good answer, Sam.
Thank you.
Tim, number 15.
All right, we'll try to make this quick because it's late, but we've got,
We've
what I
been-
wanted you to know.
We've been here later than this before.
Well, okay, that's doing good. On the employee pay study, we just wanted you to know where we'd been and where we were going, and Faith's got a real brief presentation for you, and I may chime in to try to speed it up, so.
Yes, good evening. I'll make this very brief. For a summary timeline of our salary study, in March and April of 2017, we requested quotes for our salary study from the following: Evergreen Solutions, Mercer, Robinson Consulting Services, Arthur J. Gallagher and Company, UGA Carl Vinson Institute, Korn Ferry Hay Group, and the Archer Company. And only 3 out of these 7 were interested, which were the UGA Carl Vinson, Korn Ferry Hay Group, and the Archer Company. In August of 2017, we received the following proposals. The Carl Vinson could start the study in March of 2018 with an estimated completion date of July 2018 and a cost of $10,000 to $15,000. The Korn Ferry Hay Group could begin February 2018 with an estimated cost of $35,000. Then the Archer Company could start January 2018 at a cost of $8,640. The Archer Company has done work for the city before, as they were the original creators of the city's pay structure in the late 1990s, and they also established the annual evaluation form. So we issued a PO in November 2017 to the Archer Company. The Archer Company assigned Mr. Chip King, Regional Director for the Atlanta office, to do the work. We received the preliminary report on May 30th, 2018. And we received the final Phase 1 report on July the 5th. On July 23rd, Mr. King proposed evaluating some job positions and the pay grades as Phase 2 of this project. In August 2018, I sent data to Chip King for job position evaluations. Mr. King was to present Phase 1 report at our city work session on September the 17th. Unfortunately, he passed away unexpectedly the week before. So we spoke with the Archer Company about finishing Phase 2. We also called and spoke with Carl Vinson about completing our Phase 2, and Carl Vinson told us they would not act on or continue the data or the report we were given by the Archer Company, which was standard in this industry. We also spoke with some local people about finishing our study, and none felt like they were qualified. We are in the process of comparing our current total benefit package to all 12 organizations surveyed in our salary study. Just last week, the Archer Company has confirmed they will complete Phase 2. They've assigned us 2 people. It's another regional director out of Ohio and a lady that is local in Atlanta to finish our Phase 2 of our project. We hope to see this work completed by January and our work session in January. We can also have the representatives from the Archer Company that's completing Phase 2 come and present the study at either the work session and or a meeting. So do you have any questions?
So this is the salary study, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And this was just a timeline of the progression.
Yes, ma'am. And maybe somebody on council could remind me why we're doing a salary study.
I know we've talked multiple times about making sure that we are staying not only competitive, but also looking to retain and recruit quality staff. And I think from an HR standpoint and from a budgeting standpoint, it's important to look at positions, their grades, and how we're comparing to other cities, to other businesses that might either steal our employees or look to recruit our employees is a better way of saying it. What we also want to do is make sure that our benefit packages and retirement and other things like that are part of that study, because salary alone is not what employees look to or look at when looking for a job.
So the median price range for this thing is about 20. I mean, I'm not a mathematician at all. Trust me, I'm not. But it's about $20,000, is it? Somewhere in there.
That would be the average, but the Archer Company, having done work for the city of Carrollton, is $8,640 for phase 1. Now, we don't have an estimated cost of phase 2. I don't foresee it going over, being more than phase 1, because it's not as in-depth.
And is there not software that we can purchase through your office and make this happen without having that expense to bear?
Not really, because in order to, correctly, and Tim can jump in, but to analyze our data compared to surrounding cities as well as organizations, like the 3 major companies that we lose people to here in Carrollton refuse to even participate in the survey. Therefore, they had to go, these companies that have the actuaries and the data analysts are able to go to a search engine that would provide that information that you couldn't get just locally.
A human had to pick data, and a human had to get information and compare, and so they got salaries from other cities. We try to get the information from Southwire, the university, and Tanner, because those are the 3 big entities in town where we would generally lose people. And also
Correct.
Certainly public safety, we would lose those individuals to neighboring counties and cities, and they compare to that. So it's just not something that could be done online. It had to be done by a human.
Okay. And so tonight we're picking a company to do it for us? Is that what
No, you don't
No,
have to
sir.
vote. We just want to give you
No,
an
sir.
update.
Oh, okay.
It's just an update, yeah.
I have a timeline of when it might be here. So maybe January?
Yes, sir. That's
Frankly, I wanted you to know why it had taken so long. I know it's been aggravating to some of y'all that this drug out, but I wanted you to hear how much effort was put into it, how many companies we tried to get to do this for us. And it was just time that you heard that story.
You know what, I need to stop watching Andy Griffith, but and I really don't watch it the way I used to when I was a kid. But you know what I would like? Just ask the employees, like, what can we do to, have we done that? Maybe we have.
I actually do an exit interview for anyone
No, I mean
that,
with the ones we have now, like, how can we keep you? What can we do to keep you? How can we make the city of Carrollton better? How can we make this a better establishment? Have we tried? I mean,
I really do think we have. I
mean,
mean, we get a lot of feedback from employees. We get a lot of feedback from the department heads who are trying to retain people. So I really think we do that. I mean, Joel's sitting back there and he can tell you, he's talked to us about what he's doing to recruit and what benefits are important. And so I really think we do that. And but I appreciate what you're saying, and we can step that up.
Yeah, let's step that up. I'd rather do that the old-fashioned way. Just maybe taking a few notes like better, blah, 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 or whatever. Free meals from the square twice a month or something like that. Just food truck. And I know I'm not trying to be comical at all,
Exactly.
but I just wish we'd go back to an old-fashioned approach of asking people how they feel.
and that's our goal, to maintain and retain employees, because the cost to train, especially in our public safety departments, is huge. And if we can maintain and retain those employees instead of training them the first 3-4 years and have them leave, it will be a huge benefit to the city. So that's our goal by this.
And I'm for doing anything on this end to support their salaries and increase that. Since I voted against increasing my own salary. and I'm sure it may have passed, but I wish we could take that savings and pass it down to the employees who are here every day. I never come to City Hall. I come every once in a while, but this is not my place of work.
One thing I would
Maybe
like
I
to
will.
request is in moving forward, it become just a regular thing. I'm assuming it probably will. I know salaries, benefits, everything, that's always a moving target. We're gathering data from a year ago, and we're going to implement things based on that. In 3 years, it'll be completely different. So just from a maintenance thing, just having that as a reoccurring thing will be, I guess probably would be presented from a year-to-year basis when we're looking at budget, just to make sure we are maintaining that, retaining those good employees and things of that nature.
Right, and we did learn through this process that it's normal that we realign and readjust our pay grades, which is our current pay system, every 2 to 3 years with your competition, your surrounding cities, counties, and organizations. So we plan on doing that. More questions? Okay, thank you.
Is there anything anybody else wants to bring before this body?
I want to introduce Jessica Everingham, the new director at the library, and she's doing a great job. We're all working closely together, so.
See you on Wednesday, right? Can I have a motion, we adjourn?
Yes.
Motion and second.
Ooh.